On this episode of By the Wayside, we have tattoo artist slash digital artist. He's over there somewhere. Yeah, he's over there. Here, little peeky poo. Andrew Wilson is on the show. An award-winning creator. Fell Hound is also here, and I'm almost 100% sure we're going to be doing an Omar Recommends. So you're going to want to stick around right to the very end of the episode. Thumbs up for that Omar Recommends. Yeah, we're just doing things here at Wayside Comics and Cocktails in Newmarket, Ontario. So don't go anywhere. I'm Jordan Middlebrook, and welcome back to this episode of By the Wayside. I really like the opening credits. It's like an opening number, not opening credits. And I remember last episode I said it was 10 seconds long. It's only 3 seconds long, so that's what I get for not timing things correctly, maybe. So March break happened recently here in Canada, Ontario. Is just ask the audience, is March break like a Canada-wide thing? Yeah. They say yes. Everyone says yes. I think if it's a spring break, it falls on a different week. Maybe? I don't know. I'm a parent. You think I know these things. So what I did miss over the March break, my daughter was actually sick for the whole week, so I spent a lot of time with her. We played Fortnite. I watched her watch YouTube. That was something. And I watched her play Roblox. That was also something. That was lots of fun. So March break was kid being sick during March break. What can you do? What can you say? This episode's mug is a Christmas mug because if there's anything you need to know about me, it's that I absolutely love Christmas. Also, I realized as I looked into the camera, last episode I talked about how I had a mustache and I looked a little bit more like Ron Burgundy. My beard is coming in nicely. Gonna check back with the audience over here. How's the beard looking, guys? Thank you. Lots of thumbs up. I like all the approval that I'm getting today. It must be a Tuesday. I do have a really funny story. On my way here, I was racing a Red Bull truck. I know that sounds really weird. I guess they don't. Red Bull doesn't deliver in like the giant 18-wheeler trucks. What Red Bull delivers is those small cube vans, and they go from store to store to store, and they drop off Red Bull products. And as I was driving, came into a 2-lane section, and there was myself and a Red Bull truck. And I thought to myself, this Red Bull truck, by nature and branding, should be faster than me in my car. But it wasn't, and I was quite surprised. So I took off. I was driving the speed limit for those who are going to call law enforcement on me. I was driving the speed limit. The truck was actually going slower than I myself. I went up a little bit further, and as I was driving, funny enough, there was a banana peel on the road. I thought this Red Bull truck must have known this because it also solidified all of my reasoning for the fact that we are in a simulation, and that simulation is a Mario Kart level. And I think what happened is the Red Bull truck slowed down, thinking that I'd hit this banana peel spin out and it would take control and take first place in this weird simulation that we all live in, which is a Mario Kart level. And then I realized that I'm just a complete idiot. And if we're living in a simulation, it's obviously a Sims simulation, correct? Here in Ontario, weather is like flip-flopping, like you wouldn't believe. It was beautiful the other week, like highs of 15 degrees Celsius. And then this week it's dropped down to -2. As I came into Wayside Comics and Cocktails here in Newmarket, Ontario, the weather was -2 and snowing. And I thought to myself, oh yeah, live in Ontario where the weather is something in the morning and then something in the afternoon. And then again, of course, something in the evening. And my whole spiel about this was that it's actually flip-flop season. It is not flip-flop season. The day that I'm doing this episode of By the Wayside, it's the last day of winter, in case anyone wants to look back at the record date. Record? Did I say record wrong? Anyone wants to look back at the date that I did this episode here at Wayside Comics and Cocktails, you'll note that it was the last day of winter, and it sure as hell felt like winter. So I'm waiting for spring, waiting for warmer weather so I can put my flip-flops on. I can stop wearing, I don't wear boots anymore. I'm not 10 years old. My mom's like, Jordan, stop being such an idiot, because when you were 10, you didn't wear boots either because you didn't listen to me when I told you to put boots on. Okay, Mom, Thanks, Mom. I don't know where I was going with that joke. I thought it was a lot funnier in my head, and I really should have planned it ahead. Okay, so stick around because in the first segment of today's episode, I'm going to be talking with tattoo artist / digital artist Andrew Wilson. And then from there, we're going to keep going on because Felhound's also on the episode. Omar is on the show. We're in his shop. He's around here somewhere. You know this. Back there. Remember? I think someone's Google just went off. On that note, stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to By the Wayside. I am, of course, am your host, Jordan Middlebrook. A rose by any thorn. No, wait, I don't know how it goes. A rose by any thorn smells so sweet, but a tattoo and a digital artist is also super neat.
Oh,
I came up with that by myself. Sitting with me today, cool. Andrew Wilson, and if you didn't gather by my super awesome opening and intro, he's a tattoo artist / digital artist. Andrew, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Something that I've always thought about is the difference, because you're a tattoo artist, is the difference between doing art on skin and doing it on another medium. So in your case, it's digital. So what's it like? Can you explain that?
Obviously, it's very different when you're physically tattooing skin versus drawing on an iPad. But I'd say the difference for me is when I'm drawing a tattoo design, you're very limited in what you can do. Mm-hmm. One, because it's going on skin. You can't make it as detailed as you could. You know, if I were to draw a piece for print, I could literally do whatever I want, which is very freeing. It's really nice when you're not limited to a body part, the shape of a body part, the shape of a person. Oh, okay. So you got to take those things into account as well, which is, don't get me wrong, it's fun and it's challenging. Yeah. But when I do find that I do my digital stuff, it's just like, you know, there's no weight on my shoulders. I can sit there, I can start from scratch and do whatever I want.
Very freeing. So the limitations of the human body don't exist when you switch to digital.
Exactly, yeah. And like I do all my tattoo designs on digital.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I use an iPad for all my tattoo designs as well. It's a lot easier that way, you know. If you need to make any changes, easy to cut and paste, add stuff in. When I first started to tattoo, I used paper though.
So that kind of bleeds into my next question is, your profile on Instagram says digital artist. And so my thoughts and my questions, were you always digital? I know that digital artist using digital tools to create digital art is fairly new. Let's just be honest. Not knowing your age, it's like, no, he's not 10. But before you went to digital and before you went to tattooing, of course, did you ever do pen and paper or pencil and paper paint or anything like that?
Yeah, all the time. My big thing was, like I've been into comic books since I was a kid. So I would always, you know, I'd have my piece of paper, my pencil.
Stop.
Is it falling out?
It's on. Sorry. That's just the hazards of production. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
Okay. So I have my paper, my pencil, my inking pen, my eraser, and I would literally go and just, you know, I would copy panel for panel in some comics, you know, and I loved using paper. Sometimes I do still, just to, you know, get the feeling of it. I've been using digital for doing tattoo designs since the first iPad came out with the pen, so it's been a while since I've been using that. It's nice to go back to paper. Yeah,
no, I agree. I like to do digital. There's something freeing about it, but then often I'll just grab a Sharpie and a blank piece of paper and just draw it.
Yeah, even the sound.
Yes.
Nice. Oh, you know,
my.
Like,
we're same people, dude. Oh, I just gotta chill. You know that feeling, that squeaky, like, you gotta.
I have a sort of like a rough screen protector on my iPad, so you get a bit of that grit, like that paper grit.
Man, that sounds good.
It's actually really nice.
That sounds awesome. Since your full-time job, tattoo artist, I'm not going to say your hobby is art because I don't think that's necessarily fair to say. But what are your next steps with your art? I know here at Wayside Comics, your art is all over the walls. We have a piece behind us. I'm going to get it, and I want you to keep answering the question. But what are your next steps with your art?
I'd obviously like to keep tattooing. I've been tattooing for.
Just trying to get the. How come when this came into the shop, why didn't you get the non-reflective glass? That's what I want. But I love this piece. I'm a huge Dr. Doom fan, and I know that you can come to Wayside Comics and Cocktails and check this out. Right, Omar?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
He says yes. He doesn't have a mic on, so no one knows what he said. But yeah, what are your next steps?
I've been tattooing for 14 years now. I would like to slow it down a little bit and focus more on like my digital art, not necessarily in like, comic book characters and stuff. I'm really getting into doing like some cool sort of macabre landscapes, houses, like architecture stuff is what I really like to do. My biggest goal is to get permission or the rights to do Eternal Sunshine as well as mine in a graphic novel.
Yeah.
So I have the name of Michelle Gondry's agent. I've left a message, so I'm just waiting to hear back now.
Well, now that
is my goal.
It's on the internet now.
That is my ultimate goal.
So we will make sure that we continue to tag and
Please
promote
help.
to get
Please
you
help.
the Eternal. Oh, now you got too many words. Eternal Sunset Shot. Never mind. The Jim Carrey movie with Kate Winslet.
That's the one.
When you're doing your artwork, where can we find you online?
My digital art page is I'm Sad Official on Instagram, and my tattoo page is Andrew Wilson Art. Both on Instagram.
Both on Instagram.
Yeah.
What is it about digital art that you really like? We talked about the human body. Mm-hmm. We talked about working on digital and how they're not the same. Mm-hmm. But what is it about the digital art that you like?
I literally can do anything that I want to do. Yeah. And I like when Photoshop was becoming a thing back in high school. I'm 37, by the way. 37, okay. I would always go mess around on Photoshop using like the draw tool and like all the minimal amount of paintbrushes that they had. Yep. And I always found that fascinating to be able to sort of change everything digitally. And now you have all these brushes, all these textures. You can make your own brushes, make your own textures, unlimited layers. And it's so fun to play with. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, but, can come up with some pretty cool stuff digitally.
One of the really cool things that I found when someone put an iPad and like a stylus in my hand, when I started doing a little bit of doodling on digital, it's that when you make a mistake, regardless of how big or small that is, it doesn't end the piece. You don't have to crumple up your paper or throw out your canvas. There is the unforgivable nature of digital that is very appealing to someone. Artists tend to be perfectionists. A line's out of place and they'll stare at that line. If that piece gets finished and the weight of that line is too big and you knew that when you finished the piece, it's up on that wall or it's in that publication and you're just like, damn, that one line is driving me nuts. The unforgivable nature of digital is something that I always thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And I guess on a human body,
there's no room for error.
You cannot mess up.
You know what the hardest ones to do are the small ones.
Yeah.
The outline of a heart.
Oh, really?
Is harder than doing a portrait, to be honest.
Interesting.
Well, there's no room for error.
Yeah, I guess.
It's two lines that need to be perfect, or else you're going to see that it's not perfect.
My skin, I have a virgin body.
Oh no.
Yeah, I am completely free. My tolerance for pain is. Yeah, I don't like colds. I don't like spicy food.
I don't like spicy food either.
So my pain tolerance is absolutely low. Andrew, thank you very much for coming in today. Yeah. It was really nice to meet you officially.
Yes.
And I look forward to seeing more of your work, not just here at Wayside Comics and Cocktails, but also on the internet and seeing you flourish in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, I appreciate
it, Andrew.
Appreciate it. Stick around because we've got more coming up.
You're doing great.
That's what I guess. You know what? I'm just gonna go with it. Thank you again, Fel, for coming on the show. I can't thank you enough because I like to have the eclecticness of people on the show, and being on the second episode of By the Wayside, I think is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Don't be confused by the pseudonym, which we will talk to in this segment. Felhound is with me today, award-winning Felhound. Fel, thank you very much for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm super stoked to be here.
Good.
Super stoked to chat with you.
I know we had a rocky start there in the beginning, and I appreciate your positivity for helping me get through it. Your award-winning work on Commander Rao, it's 40 pages of epic storytelling, amazing artwork.
Thank you.
The one thing that I really want to know, because it's so well written, it's so well paced, it's a really good piece of work. You're a good piece of work. What's it inspired by? What inspired you to tell that story?
Yeah, so originally when I made Commander Out, I really only wanted to practice drawing fight scenes because this was made in 2020. I didn't have a lot of sequentials back then. So I was like, oh, I need something to practice fight scenes. It was originally 8 pages.
Oh.
And then I was like, I want to expand the story. I'm going to make it like 20 something pages. And originally I wanted to give it out for free. And my friend was like, don't do that. Run a Kickstarter, make some money. So I was like, okay. And it turned out they were a very smart friend because I did make some money.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And as for the influences, basically, I really liked this manga called The Rose of Versailles.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on the French Revolution.
Oh.
And basically, Commander Rao's design is actually based off like a sci-fi version of the main character, Lady Oscar. So there's a sort of like when you see the Baron or Commander Rao's designs, I was trying to think of like maybe like a futuristic French Revolution type of design. Yeah.
The next comic project that I want to create, all of a sudden, as you're saying that, is the French Revolution that happens in like a neo France, where it's all mechs all the time. There you go. That's your idea. You can keep it. You do whatever. You do whatever you want.
I would be down to read that.
No, you're gonna do it now. I'm giving you that idea. I'm not. I have nothing. I'm the idea man. I'm the idea man. On your website, in your bio, you talk about how you like drawing women with swords.
Yes.
I love a good sword. I love a good like sharp object. I'm actually, in my own opinion, I really like people with axes. I have an axe at my house. It's just nice fireman's axe just sitting there because it looks super cool. In pop culture across any medium, what is one female character that you would like to see with a sword?
That's very easy. Batwoman. I want to see Batwoman with a sword.
Really?
Yeah, so I am a diehard Batwoman fan. She's like the reason I got into comic books. I used to cosplay as Batwoman at Comic Con.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and when I read like Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, where Tom King gave Supergirl a sword, it was like the best book ever.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that Batwoman deserves her time with a sword. I even drew like a fan art AU design of like a medieval Batwoman with a sword. So I'm like, I'm all for this. Like, DC, please make this happen. And maybe hire me, but conversation for another time.
It's going to be on the internet. We'll tag them in it. We'll let them know that you want to do some DC work.
Yes.
I honestly, when I wrote that question about asking you about pop culture, a woman in pop culture that could have a sword, I'll be honest, I didn't think about a woman. One of my favorite characters is RoboCop. Now, this isn't a secret that I don't like the Lord of the Rings movies.
Try not to judge you for that.
It's boring. Let's just say that. I've always said that if you put RoboCop in Lord of the Rings, it would be so much better. Now that I've thought about it, if you give RoboCop a sword, it increases his coolness factor by 1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, I do think everyone is automatically cooler with a sword, so I can't disagree with that.
Everyone is. Okay, I'll give you that. I'm going to put that on a T-shirt. By the way, that one's mine.
You can have it. We'll trade ideas.
So going forward, what's your next project? What do you got going on?
So I have something going on right now. I'm part of a charity anthology called When I Was Young that's funding on BackerKit right now. It's basically an anthology about sort of like advice we would tell our younger selves and stories to inspire our younger selves. It's a charity anthology, so all proceeds go to the Trevor Project.
Nice.
I think we're at 17K right now, and we've got about 2 weeks left to fund. There's a lot of really, really cool other creators in the anthology. I'm in it. We also have like Sam Maggs, Heather Antos, Christopher Cantwell, David Boer, like tons of amazing people on this anthology. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm also working on a mystery YA miniseries. I can't say too much about now, but it features motorcycles.
Oh, dang.
And weapons of some kind, and it's going to be really fun.
Motorcycles. I hope there's swords involved, or axes.
Yes.
I want to circle back real quick. Can you tell me about the Trevor Project?
So the Trevor Project, that's the name of the charity.
Yeah.
It's basically like a charity to support like queer youth. And the anthology is it's called When I Was Young, and it's basically like a bunch of queer creators
Oh, okay.
working together just to like tell stories to like sort of give advice to our younger selves
Awesome. Yeah,
and
okay.
to like try to tell inspirational stories about our younger selves.
Okay, cool. Thank
Yeah.
you. So I said at the top of the segment that your name Felhound is a pseudonym. I have a pseudonym. I'm not going to tell you what it is because then you'll find me. No, I'm just kidding. But I do have a pseudonym. Can you explain the pseudonym?
Yes.
You don't have to tell us your real name. That's not what this is about. I'm curious about where the pseudonym of Felhound came from.
Yeah, so there is a story behind it. Basically, when I made my first comic that nobody knows because it was really bad, I decided to use a pen name because I have one of those uncommon real names that nobody can spell right on the Starbucks cup. When I decided to use a pen name, I was in college at the time, and basically I was in love with this game called Planescape Torment. It's like a very old 90s RPG. And there was this character called Fell.
Okay.
And this Fell character was part of like this race of D&D creatures that usually always float above the ground. But this guy didn't float above the ground. He was different. He walks on the ground. And that's why his name was Fell. And I don't know why. I found that so endearing. I was like, I'm going to call myself Fell after this guy. And another one of my favorite characters from that game, her name is Fall from Grace. Oh, okay. So I was like, oh, well, I'm going to use Fell sort of like as a connection to my love of this game.
Awesome.
And then the hound part was because I was taking a biology course in college at the time.
Oh, okay.
And I had to do like a research project about basically hounds. So I was like, oh, hound's a cool name. We'll just put the two words together.
I couldn't have asked for a better explanation. My pen name, or pseudonym, you said pen name. For some reason I said pseudonym because I like to use it across all different things. It comes from one of my favorite actors, and I use my middle name. So good luck in figuring that out. It's like a little, it's like a choose your own adventure of finding out my pen name. So I challenge everybody, you, Fel, and everyone to figure out what my pen name is. Good luck, because only like 3 people know it. On that note, Fel, thank you very much for coming in today. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me here on By the Wayside. That is shot, recorded, filmed, done. I'm still working on what it is at Wayside Comics and Cocktails here in Newmarket, Ontario. Thank you again, Fel. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've been chatting.
Awesome. And that was the newest episode of By the Wayside. I, of course, was your host, Jordan Middlebrook, and I have to thank all of my guests for today's show. Super awesome, super fun, super informative. I can't wait to see what they're doing. Make sure you go back and follow them on everything that they said that they have. Yes. Last time I thanked my mom and my sister. I'm not going to tell you reasons why, but guess what? Again, I better make sure I turn my mic on. I did. And it's going to be all on the internet about how stupid I am. Thank you again, Mom. And thank you for everyone who's watching the show. And of course, everyone's favorite part of every episode of By the Wayside, Omar Recommends. And I know Omar, he's back there somewhere. He's got a mic on. He can say hi. And I know he's got a book. It's like we pre-planned this. He has a book that he wants to recommend to you. And he's at the spinner rack that I'm going to have him tell you what the spinner rack means when you come into Wayside Comics and Cocktails. And if you didn't catch it the first time around, Omar Saer is the owner-operator of Wayside Comics and Cocktails here in Newmarket, Ontario, where we do the episodes here. I still haven't decided if it's a record. I'm saying record wrong. If it's recording or filming or taping, we're just making episodes of By the Wayside. Omar, have a seat. Thanks again for joining me. You're always here. Joining me on By the Wayside. And we're doing our very special, I'm just going to leave now. Our very special and very fun Omar Recommends. What do you have for us today?
All right. So today what I have for you in the Recommends is Scab by one John Berg. So Scab is just a very fun, very well executed action adventure story. Really harkens back to really, like I said, just good fantasy. It really kind of gives me Shadow of the Colossus vibes if you're a gamer. But again, just framed around a really fun story. I can't say fun story too many times at this point. But no, issue 1 was great. Very subtle with the dialogue. Really beautiful art. I've actually been following John for a long time before we even opened the shop. And when I found out that he's actually a Newmarket local, that was unbelievable. And I love this book. I will champion it forever. It is just, like I said, so well executed, beautifully drawn, with wonderful characters, and I can't wait till he gets done with book 2, book 3, book 4.
Oh, yeah.
He's introducing a lot of new characters, really fleshing out his world, and if you haven't checked out Scab issue 1, I highly, highly recommend doing so. It's just a really good time, and
I agree.
it's what comics kind of should be. It's just you can pick up an issue and just have a blast, and that's what exactly the experience I had when reading this.
So one of the things, Omar, and I know you know this because last episode, here, let's put this up here so that everyone gets to see it. Right before we end the episode, last episode on the Omar Recommends segment, you recommended Group of 7. I had never seen it at that time. Based on your recommendation and your opinions on the book, I got myself a copy, I read it, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. One of the cool things about Scab by John Berg is that I have really liked this comic for a long time. And it's really cool that you came out and you're just like, hey, check out Scab #1. But follow along with John Berg because he's also one of the nicest dudes on the planet. We did on the last episode, he was at the Creator Spotlight series, and I ribbed him about how Lord of the Rings is an absolutely boring movie. And it is, and I'll say that till the day I die. But check out. I'm gonna piggyback on Omar Recommends here. I also recommend Scab #1 and John's work across the board. And that, again, is an episode of By the Wayside. And when Omar recommends, what we usually say after that is, we'll catch you by the wayside.